Are the New Orleans Saints sabotaging themselves, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, this video was sent to me, and I gotta watch it. All right, so we're skipping ahead to the Saints part. This is Locked On NFL from the Locked On Network. So we're gonna go ahead. I got a sneaky feeling, ladies and gentlemen. I got a sneaky feeling in my plums that this video is gonna piss me off, and it's gonna raise my blood pressure. But for each and every one of you, I will persevere.
I want to talk about the New Orleans Saints, who, in my opinion, seem to be sabotaging themselves. And let the record show, looks like my guy Ross, the mastermind, ducked this episode. He didn't want the heat about the Saints. All jokes aside, Ross is hard at work covering the New Orleans Saints right now. And, you know, I like having Nick in the chair anyway. So it all worked out fine. But we do got to throw it to my guy, Ross Jackson, the mastermind from Locked On Saints, so he can explain what is going on with the quarterback situation this week.
Tyler.
All right. Let's listen to Ross.
Shough and Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener are all involved in this quarterback competition. They're all getting first-team reps. Spencer Rattler is the only one that hasn't seen any third-team reps. He is very clearly, Spencer Rattler, in the lead right now when it comes to this quarterback competition. And he's got a good chance to stay there as well, although, you know how this goes, right? There's a lot of time left here as things go. So we're not calling a winner right now. No one should be. Certainly the New Orleans Saints shouldn't be. But right now, Spencer Rattler feels very comfortably in the lead when it comes to this quarterback competition. And despite a recent push from Jake Haener, who's seen more first-team reps, who got the hurry-up drills at the end of walkthroughs, and then also got the hurry-up drill along with first-team reps in the second padded practice when they went into that 2-minute drill work, end of half, 2-minute drill. He ends up getting all those. Despite all of that, it still very much feels like Tyler Shough, as I go through and I rechart all of the numbers and all of the team reps and 7-on-7 reps, still feels like Tyler Shough is still the biggest competition for Spencer Rattler.
All right, so that clip went longer than I thought. All right, I think the quarterback situation is kind of confusing people, and the reps and the rotation and all that. So let me explain what I think is happening. It's not a 3-man competition for the starting job. All right, you have these mini competitions. You have Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shough are competing for who's going to be the starter, and simultaneously who's going to be the future of the team. But then you also have competitions between who's going to be the backup and who's going to be the third string, right? So Haener getting reps isn't necessarily Haener competing to be the one. It's giving him a chance to see what he can do to then deduce who should be the two, right? So this is getting a little too, like, people are way too focused on QB1 reps with the first team. That must mean they're competing to be the starter, right? When I don't think that's happening. I don't think Haener is competing to be the starter. I don't think there's any chance in hell that Haener is the starter, will be the starter, would be the starter. His reps and Tyler Shough's reps, or whoever's your backup, they're in like a separate competition. All right, so I think that's getting missed.
Listen, we got to be honest here. You got Spencer Rattler, who's in his second year. You got Jake Haener, who was a 5th-round pick 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He's not going to start at quarterback. You got Tyler Shough, who is the guy who the new regime, the new coaching staff wanted and went and drafted in the 2nd round. Whoever is going to start at quarterback is either going to be Spencer Rattler or it's going to be Tyler Shough.
True.
You giving first-team reps to Jake Haener on multiple days of training camp is literally insane.
So you can't, like, this is something else that just doesn't happen, can't happen. You can't not give him reps. This is a brand new offensive install. This is the first week of padded practice. All right. You have to have the offense installed. You have to have these guys taking reps at some point. This is that point. This is when it's going to happen. Yeah, if Jake Haener is taking first-team reps leading up to week 3, that's insane, right? That's not going to happen. But right now, I mean, you look in Cleveland, all 5 or 6 quarterbacks have taken reps with the first team. Like, it just happens. At this point, at this stage, totally normal for there to be some kind of rotation, especially when there's a brand new install. 100%.
The explanation that I can make in my mind when I see things like that, and Saints fans are going nuts in these posts about Jake Haener getting first team reps, the only explanation is that the Saints are trying to tank this season. They don't want any other quarterbacks to play very well. They don't plan on throwing Tyler Shough to the dogs when the team isn't very good. Like, what could be the other explanation for Jake Haener getting first-team reps when this team's quarterbacks are so young, other than they are truly trying to sabotage their season? Kellen Moore understands that they're not going to be a good team.
Do you think it's crazy for your backup quarterback on any team, pick the Chiefs, do you think it's crazy for the backup quarterback for the Chiefs to get first team reps? No, it's not. Because if the quarterback goes down, the injuries, rotating play, whatever, like there's a million different reasons. We don't know who the backup quarterback is going to be. It might be Jake Haener. He might be the 2. Who the hell knows? But you got to see it. You got to see it now. Also, you have to factor in the human element of you are trying to get the most out of Tyler Shough or Spencer Rattler. You have to have them competing and pushing themselves on every single level. What happened last year, ladies and gentlemen? Jake Haener was the 2. Spencer Rattler was the 3 in practice. Why? Said it last year. Because they wanted Spencer Rattler to push Jake Haener. They wanted Spencer Rattler to have that carrot on a stick, that the rabbit at the Greyhound track where he is pushing to usurp the backup quarterback to jump him at the roster. Rattler wasn't going to jump Derek Carr. So they put him behind Haener to give him something to work towards. Haener is that for Rattler and / or Shough right now, where they're looking over their shoulder. If you're Tyler Shough, yeah, you're trying to beat out Spencer Rattler for sure. But whenever Jake Haener has a big practice, now you're thinking, damn, I also got to beat out Haener. Now you're thinking, man, I might not only not be the starter, I might be third string. I can't do that. So that creates a whole new motivation. So for a team that's in flux like the Saints are with the quarterback depth chart, because there's not a definitive starter, backup, or third string, you don't have a choice but to rotate these guys. And I'll say it again. I said it on my guy Kevin Foot's radio show. I did a spot this week. This isn't going to last into the season. We are 5 days into padded practice. This isn't going to be a thing leading up to week 1 against the Cardinals. This isn't going to be a thing leading up until week 2 against the 49ers. This isn't going to be a thing in the regular season. This is training camp. All right? This is when this is supposed to happen. What's going on here?
And they want to set themselves up for a great draft pick. Like, it's just insane to me.
What could be the explanation?
Let me talk about the sabotage thing. I don't know if he was tongue-in-cheek. I don't know if he was JK and having a goof, having a gaff. The idea that the Saints are sabotage, I'm going to try and say this gracefully. I'm going to try and say this nicely. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. That the Saints would be purposefully sabotaging their quarterback room to have a worse draft pick next year. If that is the case, why would they have drafted Tyler Shough? If that is the case, wouldn't they just play the worst of the 3 quarterbacks? Wouldn't there not be a quarterback competition at all? Wouldn't they just play Jake Haener, not worry about the rest, and then move on to next year? If they were sabotaging, wouldn't they have just traded all of their good players? Why would they play their good players? Why would they start players? Why wouldn't they just tank? It's just so dumb. It's so dumb that it makes me want to vomit all over my chest.
One I could come up with is that you got a rookie head coach who's trying to find his tuchus in the job and trying to figure out what to do at the quarterback position. I don't have a huge issue.
Doesn't tuchus mean butt? He's trying to find his butt in the job? What the hell does that mean?
With a competition during camp. I mean, camp is supposed to have a competition. That's when you get these kinds of things done. But it is ludicrous. It's ridiculous. It is silly that you have all 3 of your quarterbacks taking first-team reps. It's absurd because how is it fair to any of the guys? It's not fair to any of the guys. If you have a one-on-one, mano-a-mano competition between Rattler and Shough, I get it. Fine. It makes sense. But if you're going to have a third guy in there, now you're just splitting it. Now you've got, you're getting 1/3 of the reps, and we're talking about somebody in Tyler Shough. I know that he's at an advanced.
The one thing I'll say with this is I do agree that, and I've kind of already said this, but this is a very short-term thing, the whole three quarterback competition. Because if you do have, well, you do have Tyler Shough, but if you have Tyler Shough, 40th overall pick, he's already advanced in age, you do have to get him the reps. And I understand the motivation. I understand pushing. I understand giving Jake, a couple days here and there, whatever, give him a chance to see what he can do. But I think you do have to, at a certain point, you do have to get it down to 2 guys. Pause. It sounds like Burley D spring break, but you do have to get it down to 2 guys where they are getting the majority of the reps. They are truly developing. You are really seeing what you got in these 2 guys. The third does complicate things with the rep share and all that. I'd be surprised if we saw the triple threat match beyond this week. I think this was more of just, hey, look, we're installing this whole thing. The best way to get people to learn it is to do it. So we can kind of expedite the install if everyone's taking reps. Everyone's taking first team reps, everyone's rotating, whatever. And then I think it'll drop off. I think then it kind of reminds me of the shuttles going to space, like when it shoots up and then the 2 orange boosters or whatever drop off. That's how I feel like right now. The 3-man competition is just to boost the competition and the level. Is to boost it, and then at a certain point here, it's going to fall off. Like yesterday, what the hell is today? Friday, Thursday's practice. The big thing we were all hearing about was Jake Haener. Right? They all got to lead a 2-minute drive. Shough didn't do it successfully. Rattler didn't do it successfully, and then Haener did do it successfully. That's a good example of how now Rattler and Shough are sitting on the sidelines with Fs, sitting there going, damn, Jake Haener just did it. Uh-oh. And hopefully that's lighting a fire under them. I really do believe that's the purpose. And maybe I'm just thinking this, 27D chess. I don't know. But I don't think this is something we'll see moving forward. I think it's a non-issue, honestly.
Age for a rookie. But still, you're talking about somebody who is trying to go through his rookie camp in the most critical position. And now you're taking valuable snaps away from him in practice with the ones to appease a 5th-round pick from a few years ago. It makes absolutely 0 sense to me whatsoever, Tyler.
No, I am fully on board. We agree 100%. And look, don't do a ton of home cooking on here, but right now I'm covering a rookie quarterback who's number 1 overall on the team I cover on a daily basis. You're covering a second-year quarterback in Drake May, who is trying to learn the NFL still. And what do we talk about on these shows? Oh, the protection packages. When sliding your offensive line, reading the defensive front, audible and changing plays, knowing personnel, getting on the same page with your wide receivers at what depth your route need to be at, the timing of those routes, when they should expect the ball, what could happen if it doesn't go here. And all of these things aren't just, hey, can you throw the football good?
Ladies and gentlemen, pop quiz. What is the difference in the Titans situation, the Patriots situation, and then the Saints situation? This is pretty easy. It's a pretty easy fill in the blank. The Titans situation and the Patriots situation are not quarterback competitions. So, of course, Drake May is taking the majority of the snaps with the ones. And I would assume Cam Ward and Drake May aren't taking all of the snaps with the ones. All right, I would assume there is still a rotation, even though it's not a competition.
And accurate. These are all mental things that these young quarterbacks need. And when your best 2 quarterbacks are a second-year quarterback and a rookie quarterback, like those things are so critically important. So it's not just about, getting opportunities to play with the starters and what can you do there. It's getting on the same page. And if you want to win football games come fall, you need one of these young quarterbacks to be as mentally ready as possible. And letting Jake Haener get any of those when we all realistically can look at and say, he's not going to be your starting quarterback this year. It just tells me that they are not fully focused on getting these quarterbacks as ready as possible to win games. And maybe there's a larger development plan that they're trying to establish here. I have a hard time looking at that and saying, oh, you're trying to win games. But also, Nick, I have a hard time looking at a quarterback room of Jake Haener, Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shough and saying that you were trying to win games in the first place. I've been saying that to me, it looks like the Saints have been trying to sabotage this season long before this training camp.
Well, it was a tough situation because you look at this past draft and obviously the league.
I mean, I'm about to have to freebase Pepto-Bismol after this. I can already feel the GERD and the heartburn and the indigestion, and I haven't eaten today. I might be having a stroke right now. I actually have no idea.
It was not high on this quarterback class. You go back to the prior class in 2024, and you have maybe as many as 5 or 6 guys who could be actual legitimate starting quarterbacks in the league for the next decade. So it was a completely different class. The Saints did what they could do, I guess. You had the Carr situation, obviously, which popped up.
Made it tough.
Yeah, it made it tough. But as far as what's going on currently, I would just imagine that you want your starting quarterback figured out by, let's say, the middle of August, so he can start taking exclusive reps with the ones. You don't
obviously
want this thing to continue to stretch too much further. And so to have 3 guys taking these reps, and what's truly amazing to me, Tyler, is not only we talked about Kellen Moore being a rookie head coach. So let's get this straight and not get it twisted. Kellen Moore, everything that he does from, the first day of OTAs through the final game of this season is going to have a microscope on it because you never know if a guy's going to work out in that position. But the thing that's truly amazing is Kellen Moore was a quarterback. If anybody truly appreciates the challenge that a quarterback has, especially at a young age, appreciate the challenge that a quarterback has during camp, trying to figure things out with a new offense, new system, new players alongside them, a new league for Shough, you would think it would be Kellen Moore. So,
well, Nicholas, you just answered your own question, did you not? Now, these 2 brainiacs may not have realized it, and maybe afterwards they will, but isn't that kind of the answer? Don't you think if anybody understood what buttons to press, if anybody understood what the rotation should look like, if anybody understood the timing and all that goes into playing quarterback, don't you think it would be Kellen Moore? Don't you think it would be a coaching staff that includes 70 quarterbacks with Kellen Moore, Scott Tolzien, Doug Nussmeier? Do you really think these two have uncovered, have figured it all out, and Kellen Moore is just lost in the sauce, and Kellen Moore is out there sabotaging the team and sabotaging the quarterback competition, and these 2 hombres have cracked the code? These 2 guys are sitting there going, man, wow, why is Jake Haener getting reps? This is insanity. Wow. Wait, Patrick Mahomes doesn't get 100% of first-team reps with the Chiefs? Why not? Is Andy Reid trying to sabotage the Chiefs' kingdom? I mean, is that what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen?
It is kind of interesting that the former quarterback is making it seemingly tougher on every quarterback on his roster.
Yeah, it is peculiar. And I got to tell you, Nick, you talk about, just saying it. I don't believe in Kellen Moore. I don't think Kellen Moore is going to be a good head coach. I think it's hilarious. I keep making this point when I talk about the Saints, but it's hilarious to me that we took the coaching staff from the 2023 Chargers, who critically underperformed based on the talent on the roster, replaced them with Jim Harbaugh. He immediately took the team to the playoffs because the roster does have talent. And we said, you know what we should do? We should take one of the worst rosters in the NFL and give them that same coaching staff from the 2023 Chargers that couldn't win with a good roster.
I mean, they did leave out kind of a major part of the 2023 Los Angeles Chargers, ladies and gentlemen, where that Easton Stick was the starting quarterback for 4 games when Justin Herbert got hurt. Before that, Herbert was 3,100 yards, 20 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. The previous season, the Chargers were 10-7. Oh, and this is kind of irrelevant because good news for the Saints, if you go walk in on the Saints team building and you go to Brandon Staley's office, it doesn't say head coach under his nameplate. It says defensive coordinator. And it's interesting to pick this year, to talk about Kellen Moore, why Kellen Moore won't do well, when they leave out the 2024 Eagles. Because if you look at the 2023 Eagles, they had some trouble too, right? And so what I think you should do is point to Kellen Moore coming into the 2024 Eagles and fixing the offense and winning them a Super Bowl. I just think it's an interesting, I understand he's trying to say that Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore combination, but picking this year for Brandon Staley, doing a job that he is not doing anymore, for a team that had Easton Stick as their starting quarterback, but leaving this year out for Brandon Staley, I think is interesting.
That's what the Saints did. They flipped, Brandon Staley isn't the head coach, and he's a coordinator now, and Kellen Moore isn't a coordinator. Now he's the head coach. But to me, it's just like we already saw this coaching combo together not do a good job, and just flipping Kellen Moore and Brandon Staley and coordinator to head coach. Like, I'm sorry. I don't believe in them. I think 2 years from now, the Saints will be looking for new coaches. So if they're tanking on purpose, then I'll give them some credit for understanding, but I don't think they are. I just think they're in over their head in New Orleans.
How insane is it to be like, when Brandon Staley, like, think about how much is transferable from Brandon Staley as the head coach, Kellen Moore as the OC in 2023 in Los Angeles. How much of that is transferable to the situation now with Brandon Staley being a DC and Kellen being the head coach? Like, it's a completely different roster. You're putting years and experience and all that stuff in between the two situations. You're eliminating Kellen Moore's Super Bowl run with the Eagles where he was the OC. Like, I really don't want to get on a tangent here, but it's unbelievable to hear sometimes, like, to hear some of these takes and to hear some of this stuff. Like, it really is crazy. And that's about the nicest way I can put it.
And they've always handled the cap in a certain way where it seems like that forever they're dealing with money issues. They have to restructure contract after contract after contract. So I don't know how you look at this current iteration of the team roster-wise and look at the coaching staff. I mean, let's not forget, Kellen Moore was like the last option. He was like the last dude on the island that the Saints could hire. Nobody out there, no coaching candidate wanted this job. Nobody. And you've got ownership who's going through some things, that are off the field.
Like, that's one way to spin it. I'll say that. That's one way to spin it. Like, Kellen Moore was the last guy. He was the last guy on the island, No one else wanted the job, so they had to get Kellen Moore. He was the last one left. That is certainly one way to spin it, that Kellen Moore could not be hired. Kellen Moore was the last candidate that could possibly be hired because he was in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl. Like, I don't know. I mean, if this was Ben Johnson, do you think they'd be saying, I mean, Ben Johnson was the last guy. Ben Johnson was the last guy available. No one else wanted the job. Ben Johnson was the last one that was available because the Lions won the Super Bowl. Like, that would sound insane. Like, man, why did the Bears wait so long to hire Ben Johnson? No one must have wanted the job if the Lions won the Super Bowl. It's like, what? I just can't believe they waited so long. Last guy available. He was in the last game. He was in the last game played.
That are very interesting with email chains. So much like we talked about trying to figure out what the Colts are going to be under this new ownership after the passing of Jim Irsay. What does this ownership group do to prospective players and coaches who look at it and go, yeah, I'm not so sure that that's where I want to be. And so it's going to be interesting. New Orleans, the football place, the Pelicans are having a heck of a time.
Great fans.
Yeah, trying to be a consistent team in the NBA because it's such a powerful NFL market, college football market.
Right.
But I don't know how you have a lot of hope looking at this season given what they have.
Yeah, no, it's tough. And then, add in, they start experiencing injuries. Juwan Johnson dealing with something. And then you get Tyrann Mathieu retiring. It just, it's a lot going on in New Orleans right now. But speaking of a lot going on, the city.
I can tell you this right now. So there are, I can tell pretty quickly. I can tell who, knows ball, who's thinking about ball on like a peripheral level, who's thinking on like on a real shallow level, on who's really in it. And like if you listen to like ESPN and then you go listen to like VSiN, my guys over at VSiN, it's pretty obvious real quick. You know what I mean? Like what my favorite show on VSiN is Follow the Money with Paulie Howard and Mitch Moss. If Mitch talked to Stephen A. Smith, it'd be really quick for Mitch to be like, okay, I mean, this guy doesn't, I'm not getting a whole lot here. You know what I mean? And I meet people like that all the time where I listen to them and I hear their opinions and I'm just like, okay, this isn't exactly who I'd be taking my advice from on like who to bet on or who, like, this isn't very deep research being done here. And in my betting text message group, all I'll say is, I don't think these two hombres would make the group chat. I don't think they'd get the invite. Ladies and gentlemen, if you made it to the end, you're a hero. Good Lord, have mercy. Let me know if you made it to the end. If you did, go buy a mug. Look at that mug. Look at that mug. That's nice. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.